What's up guys, and welcome to a very special all-American comparison. We're currently sitting in a 2007 Chevrolet Corvette C6 Z06, and we'll be comparing this against a C6 ZR1, the top dog of the entire C6 generation and considered by many to be the best Corvette of all time. But neither of these cars is stock. In fact, they are about as far from stock as you can imagine, at least in the case of this C6 Z06. The owner, Quan, who runs the performance shop Quantech Performance over in Los Alamitos, has modified this to be an insane track car. And maybe not in the traditional sense. There's no crazy aero on this. In fact, from outside, it looks stock other than the giant Pirelli slicks. So when this was stock, it was powered by the 7-liter naturally aspirated pushrod LS7 motor. It's a V8, of course, and it made 505 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. However, with the modifications that Quan has done, and I'll throw the full list into the video description, this is now making about 700 at the wheels. It's a fully built engine. We've got a lot of supporting mods as well for the chassis, upgraded brakes, 18-inch wheels, Penske coilovers. I mean, this thing is decked out. This T56 6-speed manual has been upgraded with carbon synchros. This car should weigh a little over 3,000 pounds if I had to guess, because in stock form it weighed around 3,100. We have double wishbone front and rear suspension. And if you buy a stock C6 Z06 nowadays, you're looking at a market value of around $40,000 to $50,000. But if you add in all of the mods that Quan has done, including this engine build, you're looking at over $100,000, probably $110,000 to $120,000. So how does that compare against a much more mildly modified C6 ZR1, which also has a starting market value in stock form of around 70 to maybe 110, depending on mileage, because those are exceedingly rare. So they're much more mileage dependent when it comes to the market value. But you throw some quality mods on it, like the owner PJ has done, and you're basically looking at about the same money. Which car is a better representation of the C6 Corvette? Let's find out. Here or not here, this thing is crazy loud. To 7,500. I don't know if I have the cojones to take it out there today. Super light flywheel, the revs just shoot up instantly. Oh wow, we got wheel spin, top of second gear. This engine actually doesn't make insane low end torque. Most of the power is in the top third of the RPMs. But I gotta say, just driving it around, tiptoeing it around, I should say, the chassis is set up very well. These Penske dampers feel excellent out in the canyons. Great compliance, keeps the car nice and flat. This hydraulic steering rack feels actually pretty good. It's a little light, but the on-center feel is solid. No tram lining, even with these massive Pirelli slicks. My goodness, I'm not even tapping into 30% of this engine's performance right now. Good Lord. Even just short shifting it at 5,000, this engine is so crazy. That lumpy, low-B sound LS7 is something to behold. Beautiful day as well. The brake pedal feels really nice and solid. Overall, this is actually much easier to drive than I expected for such a hardcore build. When you back off the throttle, it's actually, I mean, outside of that crazy exhaust, pops and bangs, outside of that, this car's actually very easy to drive. It's comfortable. It has light controls. This T56, even with the carbon synchros, isn't very hard to operate. Easy to heel toe downshift, great visibility. The C6 generation is just, in my opinion, a sweet spot in terms of performance, drivability, and especially value for money. Even a stock C6 Z06 at under 50K is an incredible performer for the money. That it's actually not that hard to control. Even at 700 wheel horsepower, a Mark IV Supra with 600 wheel horsepower is scarier than this. This thing actually hooks up just fine once the rear tires are warmed up. It tracks so straight and so true that you wouldn't believe this has 700 to the wheels. Wow. It's going to be interesting to see if PJ's C6 ZR1 with significantly less power, probably 150 to 200 fewer horsepower, feels this good. I was terrified coming into this review because I knew Quan built this thing to be an absolute monster in a straight line. What I didn't realize is just how far he brought up the rest of the car as well to handle that power. It feels very cohesive. This has pretty long gearing, so you're actually in second gear for most of the road if you're actually trying to rev the engine out. But luckily in third gear, there's still plenty of mid-range torque. Now I'm really looking forward to jumping into PJ's car and see what the top dog in the C6 lineup with some quality but less extreme mods feels like in comparison to this all-out Z06. All right, we're now in PJ's 2011 C6 ZR1. I've been wanting to drive one of these for so long. Even before I had a YouTube channel, I just thought the C6 ZR1 was the coolest Corvette of all time. Time to find out if that's actually the case. The 6.2-liter supercharged LS9 V8 is completely stock. It makes 638 horsepower, 604 pound-feet of torque, 6-speed manual with this very nice custom carbon fiber shifter and carbon fiber center console trim. And PJ mentioned he sourced all the parts for the shifter off Amazon. Gotta love that. This car comes standard with carbon ceramic Brembo brakes and mag ride dampers, but PJ has disabled the mag ride dampers and he's put on some Bilstein Doug Rippey shocks. This weighs more than the Z06, however, about 3,300 pounds with the carbon fiber roof, which comes standard, the carbon fenders, and the carbon hood. And for mods, we have an MGW short shifter, Recaro Sportster seats, this amazing personal steering wheel, Takata 3-inch belts, a harness bar, Apex SM10 wheels, they're 19-inch all around and we're on Cup 2 tires, 295 front, 345 rear, and just a mild Corsa catback exhaust. Market value, depending on mileage and condition, you're looking at anywhere from $70,000 to $120,000. The interior feels very nice. I love how this looks with a personal wheel and the custom carbon shifter. Everything just feels actually a lot higher quality than any other C6 I've driven. Does it even stand a chance at being as fun and visceral as that C6 Z06? Let's find out. PJ also used to own that white Evo 6 I reviewed not that long ago, but he builds his cars to such a great level of balance. You got the aesthetics, you got the performance. Well, first things first, this engine, it's a lot milder sounding. No crazy cam here, but it still has that beautiful pushrod V8 sound. And I actually don't hear the supercharger all that much. It's mostly just V8. The front end of this car feels so grippy. Certainly one of the best Corvettes I've driven in terms of feedback. There's just a tiny bit of a delay. Easy to heel toe. I love this short shifter with the custom knob. It feels great. It's actually a lot lighter than I expected. You would think T56 with a short shifter should be quite a heavy shifting experience, but that's actually not the case. Oh yeah, 638 horsepower is still nothing to scoff at. This is plenty of power. It's not as brutal as that cammed LS7 build, but this has a charm of its own because at low revs it's actually pretty quiet. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but then you get on throttle and oh yeah, it just comes to life. And the throttle response, super linear, much like that built LS7, but with just less power and torque across the rev range. I say less, but come on. I mean, that's third gear from 3,000 RPM. Still pulls like a freight train. Oh yeah. Brake feel is good. This is one of those cars where it's actually surprisingly easy to drive. You think on paper, over 600 horsepower, 700 pound-feet, pretty lightweight car. You would think it would be terrifying, but in reality, it's a very well-balanced, well-engineered car, and PJ has just elevated that further with mods. This is probably the most delicate feeling Corvette I've driven. Front engine, rear drive Corvette, I should say. It just has this nimbleness to it. Lots of people recommend the C6 platform, whether it's a base Z51, Z06, or I guess even a ZR1, for track use, because for the money, especially when you're talking about the Z06 and the Z51, you are getting so much value for money, so much performance. One of the fastest cars at my local track days happens to be a C6 Z06. He's doing the same times basically as highly modified Mark V Supras and GT3 RSs. I mean, this car has so much potential. Even if you just do basic mods, coilovers, wheels, tires, brakes, maybe upgraded cooling, that's all you really need to go fast as hell. Of course, you can up level that with aero, weight reduction, but all of that is just icing on the cake. This platform is already lightweight, double wishbone suspension. You can ditch the leaf springs in the aftermarket. You can fit massive rubber under the stock fenders. It's just incredible how much potential this has. This personal steering wheel elevates the amount of steering feedback I'm getting as well. So much torque in the mid-range. The gearing is long, but it's actually well suited for this road, which is full of high-speed sweepers. What a car, what a machine. What a value proposition. I'm not talking about the ZR1, obviously. You buy the ZR1 because you want something truly special. And it is a special car. This is definitely the best C6 I have driven. I love Quan's Z06 as well because it's actually set up so well. It doesn't really have any real weaknesses despite its overwhelming amounts of power, but it's just a little bit too in your face for me. It's not something I would drive on the street. And obviously he doesn't. He brought it here on a trailer, so it's very much a more purpose-built machine. Whereas this ZR1 is built exactly how I would want a C6 Corvette. OEM plus. Just quality, well-chosen mods, nothing too crazy. You didn't go overboard with power. And it just feels like it could have come from the factory like this, but everything's just slightly elevated. This nice Corsa exhaust, no drone, just pure induction note. The Bilstein shocks feel pretty decent as well. Nice and supple, very comfortable. And you get these little accents on the interior, the steering wheel, the shifter, the seat. It's just right on the money. PJ knows how to build an excellent all-around car for track, daily, canyon driving, whatever you might want to do. His cars pull it off in a way that I haven't seen in many builds, to be honest. He also runs a racing and karting and driving glove company, so go check him out. He has ties with the Senna family, so a lot of his stuff is branded. It's just so cool. So which car do I prefer out of these two? Well, clearly I'm more of an all-around balanced build type of enthusiast. So the C6 ZR1 hands down is the way I would go. However, Quan's car, man, out on track, that would be an absolute weapon. Check out Quantec Performance over in Los Alamitos. He will build you an incredibly powerful and capable Corvette. He works on all generations apparently too. He has a C8 that he did not bring today because he couldn't find a driver for it, but hopefully soon I'll get to experience that one. C6 generation, is it the best generation of Corvette ever? From where I'm sitting, based on these two examples, absolutely. As much as I love the mid-engine dynamics of the C8, I far prefer the looks of the C6, and I love how you're still dealing with a front-engine rear-drive car. It is going to be a little traction limited compared to a C8, but that's part of the fun. And of course, we get the 6-speed manual transmission. So let me know what you guys think about the C6 generation between this ZR1 and that Z06. Which would you prefer for your, let's call it, $100,000 to $120,000? So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.